Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Over the last couple of days, the mainstream media have been pushing a poll result that showed that people in Britain prefer trade with the EU than the US. And of course, this has been pushed by the mainstream media because it helps and suits the government. They've said, "Oh no, you must push this." Well, this whole poll result is, I can't think of the word I want to use, but I'm going to go with bollocks. That's the word. Because it was a poll done by a Romaniac group called Better for Britain. So straight away, you know that this isn't a genuine poll. It's a dodgy poll based on dodgy data, and that the questions were very biased to get the results they wanted. But not only that, when you actually look at the numbers, it's very, very selective. And indeed, again, the numbers also are bollocks. And it's fraudulent. That's what it is. It's fraudulent. But it's the exact thing that the government want to push. The Labour government, they want to get us back in the EU regardless of our view. We're not allowed to have a vote on anything, of course. No. And so they're producing these fraudulent figures and then passing them off as being real. And of course, this is always what they do when they are disingenuous and they want to convince you that, oh, we're right and you're wrong. And we're so right, we're not going to let you see the data or have a vote on it. The way of the dictator, isn't it? But leaving aside any kind of dubious methodological point, I can't speak today. My teeth, I'm wearing them in for a horse. Anyway, leaving all that aside, the other way of, I think you could say, interpreting the findings is to say, let's look at what they are actually claiming is the majority view and examine the data. And that in itself is very, very interesting because it goes to show where the fraud is occurring. But it's also interesting when you look at the geological spread or geographical spread of the information as well, because more than half of those polled who said, oh, we don't want trade with the US, didn't say they want trade with the EU. They picked countries other than the EU, or they put don't know. So over half the people don't want trade with either the US or the EU. But they're not telling you that when they say, oh, more people want trade with the EU. No, they don't. In fact, the EU, it's very much a minority pick. And so it's a bullshit answer, isn't it? The majority of constituencies, 577 out of the 650, there was no majority preference for the EU as the top trading partner. Now, when you're getting close to 90% of constituencies saying, no, it's not the EU that's the most, you know that anything is rubbish, isn't it? But this is where I was going about the geographical thing. The distribution map showing the margins show that there is a very strong EU preference in areas that are Lib Dem, and therefore, lefty, anti-American, or SNP. And what's very weird about the SNP being a very strong EU trading partner is that, of course, the trade with the rest of Britain is 3 times higher than that with the whole of the EU. You'd think they'd think, oh, if we had an independent Scotland, which is what they're after, we want to prioritise trade with the EU. Go on then. You'll find yourselves going very, very poor because your biggest trading partner is south of the border, not the EU. But this is what happens. They're guided in the questions beforehand to get the answer that the people paying for the survey want. And they forget that it's easily checked and easily destroyed. And that's what's happened here. So, SNP areas hate the trade with Britain, apparently. How do they think they're going to fund an independent Scotland? Here's the other interesting thing. If you take the SNP areas out entirely, more trade goes to the US than the EU. It's a very, very weak survey, isn't it? Thanks very much. Bye.